Welcome, one and all. This is the Peace Dealer. This is episode 56 of Peace Talk, and it's been a while. I see some people in the live chat. This is the talk show where we get to interview really talented spiritualist YouTube personalities, people who are walking strong on their path. And I'm very, very, very honored to have Amy this episode. How you doing, Amy?
I am very well, thank you. Slightly sunburnt. We have a British heat wave at the minute, so I'm really sunburnt. So I'm sorry, guys, if you can see red on me.
And it's 8 hours ahead over there right now. So
yeah, it's 9:17 here. So
interesting. And how long has the heat wave been up there? Does it usually get warm around this time, or is this just like
it's some weird, messed up stuff like going over here because we had like 4 weeks ago loads of snow. It was freezing. And we had like obviously the gas on all the time to keep the houses warm. And today's the first day of this heat wave. And it's like, whoa, where did this come from? It's like in Celsius, it was like 25 degrees here, Celsius. So it was really hot. So anyway, it was really hot. So we don't cope. We don't cope with the heat here. So it's not great.
Interesting. Yeah. I know here in Vegas, it gets really hot in the summer too. And in El Paso, I was there too. So
I feel for you guys. I do.
oh yeah. I thought it was hot in El Paso. Vegas takes the cake, but I'd still enjoy that over snow in the East Coast. I couldn't handle the snow in Jersey. But other than that, so very glad to have you. For those, go ahead. Oh, okay. Yeah, I was going to say, for those who may have already seen you or have been aware, you also have been on Lattice channel as well.
Yes. For nearly, well, it'll be 2 years this year. So it's been a while.
2 years?
Yeah.
That's amazing. And for those who are interested or curious, what is your sun sign, your moon sign, and your rising sign?
Well, I have them tattooed on me, actually. So I actually had them tattooed. Hopefully you'll see it. So I'm Pisces sun, Scorpio rising, and Taurus moon.
Oh, nice. Scorpio rising too. I always love Pisces. It's something about Pisces and the psychic readings that y'all have been doing lately that are just kind of like too accurate or too on point.
Yeah, it is. It frightens me sometimes, like when I have readings and they ask me a question and it just comes like straight up because the energy's changed. Like it just seems to be getting stronger and stronger. And it depends again. It also depends, like, where you're tapping in as well. Like you can probably imagine when you're doing the tarot or whatever, if something feels off, it's really, really getting stronger. Like if something doesn't feel right, you have to kind of move away from it, So yeah, it is. It's Pisceans are misunderstood sometimes too. They think, oh, they're so sensitive all the time. No, we're not.
Not all the time. That's very true.
Yeah.
And what I love about Taurus moon is like nothing phases y'all. Like everyone can be out here falling in love and catching feelings, and moon and Taurus is like, nope. That doesn't impress me that much. Sorry.
It's so true. It is. It's stupidly true. Because the thing is, I'm constantly in battle with my sun and my moon, because my sun's like, oh, this is lovely, lovely stuff. And then my Taurus is like, hell no, stay away. It's not good for you. Like but it catches my fall a lot of the time because I used to wear my heart on my sleeve a lot in my younger years. And now I'm very reserved. So it's not bad.
I'm actually glad to hear you say that they fight, because I know as an air sign sun and a moon sign, earth, sun, moon, they fight. I would think water and earth really gets along together, but it's still good to see how, even though they get along, they still clash. And
oh God, yeah.
And how do you feel being a Taurus moon as far as like grounding or let me rephrase that, because I love that combination And we'll talk about your Scorpio rising, which I think adds so much more. But like being a Pisces gives you that access to just really be aware of the divine and see into infinity. So it's like having that Taurus moon, it's all grounded. I feel like it's one of the best combos. How is that like though? Like being able to sense the divine through your physical senses.
It's strange, but I get it. It seems to change a lot. Like you know, anyone that knows me on a personal level, like my Pisces is straight up like if something bad happens to me, like for instance, I had this email today that was really it was so stressful. And the first thing I did was call Lisa. I'm sure she's watching. I called Lisa. I was like, Lisa, like, I don't know what to do. And then she was like, right, take a minute, step back. And then my Taurus moon kicked in and I went, oh yeah, it's not as bad as I thought. So there is this constant conflict and battle, but I feel things very, very strongly. And that can be really tough sometimes. Like if you get if you get an instinct about somebody that maybe you're feeling that there's something off about them, or even if you feel like you're really like, oh my God, this person's amazing or whatever. My Pisces wants to rush straight in there, get to know them, get to know everything. But my Taurus is going, hang on, hold it back and reserve your energy. So like I say, like it is a wonderful combination, but they do work well together. But at the same time, there is that polar opposite. So yeah, that's difficult.
As a fellow sign, I totally with you with the wanting to. I think as people, we like to experience before we discern. So I have a similar experience. My Gemini wants to be friends with everyone. It's like a friendly little kid, like, hi, stranger, hi. And then my Cap's like, I don't like you, I don't like you, I don't like you.
Yeah, that's like my daughter. She's a Gemini. So she's really popular at school, but she has a Pisces moon. So she's extremely sensitive. Like if someone doesn't like her, that's it. But her ascendant is in Taurus as well. So she has very similar chart to me. And so does my son. They have identical charts to me. But like I said, I say it a lot. I talk about my kids' astrology a lot, but my youngest child, she's a Libra sun, Libra rising and Virgo moon. And it's tough. She's a tough one. She's a tough one.
Double Libra Virgo. Double Libra Virgos are so critical and intelligent. It's like their mind and talent can almost be their block because they know a little bit too much. And I was gonna say with your Gemini daughter, I think that's really amazing how you both have that soulmate connection with the Pisces sun and moon.
Yeah, she's so sensitive. But whereas I was a sensitive child, like I knew I always thought I had something wrong with me because I was so like, if somebody upset me at school, I was bullied all the way through school. But, if like when my bully had said something more, I was like, okay, I forgive you. It's fine. And people would be like, why do you forgive these people? Why do you do that? And I just did. It was just something that I always did as a child, and I find it a little bit less easy to forgive somebody now I've grown up a bit, but I would say that's probably linked in with my Scorpio. But yeah that's tough.
and I'm glad to know you also have a Scorpio rising. I have a Taurus rising. So
awesome.
Six years ago when Jupiter went through the first, I created this YouTube channel. I became the Peace Dealer, maybe more so later when it was in Cancer too. So it's nice to see Jupiter is coming up your first house. And I always say, like, for Scorpio risings, it's different than like Gemini, Taurus rising, because like you already had this wisdom. You already knew about astrology, you already knew about, this psychic gift. So it's like it's pretty cool to, I can imagine it's pretty cool to be launching a whole new cycle for yourself, if you even feel it, or you definitely feel it, but like, how are you liking Jupiter that's coming through your first, or how are you experiencing that?
I've changed. Like my personality has changed. It's kind of like the only way I can describe it, because I've been asked this before, and it was like one door has closed and I've just completely shifted into something new. So everything that people knew about me for the last, because I'm 27, so the last, say, 25 years.
1991?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, 91, baby. Yeah. Everyone thinks I'm older, but I'm like, okay. But
That's
yeah, so
right there.
yeah, it's good. It's good. But I always find like my door has like closed and I've gone into something else. Like I'm a different person. I don't take, so like I speak out more. Like this mouth of mine just got bigger. Like I speak out more about things that people are too afraid to say, or afraid to like call, you know, people like, oh, the only way I can describe it is this, what we would call, and you know, I hate to call it an industry, like the psychic industry, but there are so many fakes on there. There are so many people that come to me for readings that have said, I've had this reading. I had this one lady, she came and I was mortified. She sent me the screenshots of this reading she had. And this psychic, that's very well known in the industry, mind, saying that she's mentally ill, that she's, oh my God, if I showed you, you'd be like, whoa. And I had to work with this lady. And that's why I've got this complete different shift to go, no, this is not acceptable. I need to tell people this is not right, you know? And it gives the legitimate people the wrong the wrong impression from the viewer, because they think, oh, is this person real? Is this person real? You know, there's too much. I mean, like the puppets of society and the people, because I'm very awake, I know what's going on, but the narcissists of society are now coming to fruition. People are starting to realize who they are. Yeah. And it's like the people that would be considered, you know, the codependents or the weaker ones, they're now stepping up and saying, no, I'm not taking this anymore, you know? So I see it a hell of a lot, like how I've changed as a person, but it's definitely was it in my first house?
What degree is your rising sign?
Oh, after I can look.
Yeah, no problem. As you tell me that, I really agree. And it's one thing about what we do that I feel other fields don't have. Like a lot of skeptics, a lot of people try and act like what we do isn't legit because there's so many frauds. But it's like, you have bar exams. If you want to do law, you have to take a standardized exam. If you want to do medicine, if you do anything professional, there's standards in place. We don't have that for our field.
No.
So it's definitely very, how do I say it? It's definitely very common and almost expected to see charlatans and frauds. But then once again, it definitely makes it more appreciative when you come across real people such as yourself, and even bringing up how people who are that's something dangerous about this field. Like I used to personally work at Keen. I used to work at these several of these networks where you get paid a minute to talk. And it fascinated me. Before I even became a psychic, I used to study cold reading because I was just obsessed with like personality profiling. And I had learned about how some people, they fake being psychics just by kind of saying things that are vague and ambiguous.
Yes.
It fascinates me how many people can live a successful career just off doing that. And people will be like, oh, you're so accurate, but they'll give you readings like, oh, your mom's a woman or a man, you know, just, and it's like, oh my God, how did you
You're
know?
so bang on. Yeah. It frightens me. I studied many years ago when I was in college. I was 16. I studied psychology, and I studied politics and all sorts. I didn't know what I wanted to do at that time. Very confusing time in my life. I just wanted to study everything. Just needed this knowledge. And what I find, especially these days, you know, with these lives, I do watch certain frauds that I know are 100%, and you know, I've watched them for some time, and I watch how they move, and I see it you know, I had one myself. Like I worked alongside somebody in the past that every time I did something, they did it straight afterwards. And then because they were bigger than me, they would be claiming the success of my ideas. I have this book and I talk about it on my channel. I don't have it to hand. I never do. I have this massive calendar on my wall here, and everything that I have pops into my mind, whether that be my dreams, my ideas, it goes on this board and I put it into my channel. That's what I do. And it can get really frustrating for people. Like they do this, they watch your channels, they look at your idea. Oh, I'm going to do that. That's really easy. They think the tarot is really easy to study. They think it's really straightforward, but it isn't. It takes a lot of practice. It takes a lot of, you know, originally I was, I got them here. I got this. This was my first deck of cards. This was my Archangel Oracle by Doreen Virtue. I got my Doreen Virtue certification and it was like, woo. But then I realized that wasn't where I wanted to be. I was scared of the tarot until I bought a deck, and then it changed my life. So it's amazing how things can change like that. So. But my Scorpio, by the way, is 11 degrees in Scorpio for my rising.
11. Okay, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. It's definitely an 11 degree, but Jupiter is definitely your first. So congratulations. And
thank you.
I feel like being a Scorpio rising as a Pisces is so. It's just like an experience that you probably may never get anywhere else, because it's like Pisces already see enough, but to have that psychological awareness with your magical awareness, it's like you could just automatically know how people feel without them saying a word, I'd imagine.
Yeah, because I'm 1 degree in Pisces as my sun, so I'm very much at the beginning. So I always have been able to do that, and it can be a blessing, but sometimes it can also be a curse, because, you know, when you feel like when you know someone doesn't like you or someone's bad intentions, and you know that, and when you portray it to somebody that hasn't got that ability, it's like the wall's up, and it's very like, sort of thing. Why aren't you listening to me? Like, I'm trying to tell you this person's a fraud, or I'm trying to tell you this person's amazing, but you won't see it like I do. It's hard. It's really tough.
Yeah. Especially when it comes to like relationships. I'm sure you've had a lot of readings where you've told people this is not the one, and they still want you to like pull the right cards for them. They don't need to.
Yeah.
How personally, and yes, like Johanna said in the chat, Pisces are so magical. It's very
thank you.
Yeah, how personally, actually, before I ask this one,
okay,
because you also being a Scorpio rising, and then not just you being Scorpio rising, but you also bringing up the topic of integrity, really, in this practice, and people just kind of stealing things, because that's definitely also, it's getting so bad that people outside this field are stealing stuff from this field.
Yeah.
Just on like mainstream artists and personnel. And I won't even say they're stealing it. We can give the benefit of the doubt and say they're borrowing. But it's definitely great to hear how you've transformed, you've changed. It's definitely gonna get better. How do you personally feel as a Pisces? Mm-hmm. Because Uranus is going to go into Taurus. So all of the Taurus moons, Taurus risings, Taurus are going to really start to feel this. But yeah, how do you feel Neptune has impacted you ever since 2012 as a Pisces?
Wow, since 2012, it's been a while actually. When I look at it from, that was the year my son was born, my Sagittarius son. So it was a very life-changing year. My life has, funnily enough, it shuffled. It gave me kind of a bad few cards. It shuffled something in me to, the only way I can say it in layman's terms, I broke down to build myself up again. That's what happened. I realized that the relationship I was in was toxic. I had to get the hell out of there, and I did. And I then obviously had 2 children in that time. So 2012, 2015, I had 2 children. So they were I have 3, but they're the making of me. They were the making of my life. And I realized what I was sent here to do from 2012 was around the time I went, oh, this is why I'm here. I'm supposed to do this. I made my channel in 2014, but I was too scared to upload anything. I was awoken actually in 2012. It was me and my best friend. We watched this documentary on the Illuminati. It was like one of the most like random things. We just found it on YouTube. We started watching it and I started questioning everything. And I said, okay, now I know why I'm here. It was just something so trivial. It was like music industry, MK Ultra, Mind Control. I watched everything. And then I thought to myself, why did I always look when I was growing up, I always used to buy these girl magazines that had the horoscope section. And I was like, why did I always feel drawn to Pisces all the time? Like I always had to buy a magazine for Pisces. I had to do it. And then I understood it was that reason, because everything it clicked and everything came together. But from that time, it was just like, there's your awakening, there's your path, go and explore,
That's so, 22. I love 2012 because 2012, like the greatest conspiracy theories came out. And like everything, all the videos, all the truther videos, conspiracy or not, that came out like 2012 of like the music. Because I definitely I saw a lot of music industry videos too that just changed my whole world. And just seeing how like they're even outside the music industry, the government, all that. And I think it's amazing. I think it's amazing how now the stuff that people were calling conspiracy 2012 are being confirmed as fact.
Yeah, I know. The thing is, it's going further down the rabbit hole. It is, looking even so far as the medical industry. I would not dream of going into that today, because I would just go blah, and it would just, people think I'm like, oh my God, how do you know all this? But basically, I've seen firsthand the impact that, what the pharmaceutical industry can do. And even so much so that, I just see so much, I see what they're doing, and it's like, whoa, I'm so awake at this point. Sometimes you get to that stage where you go, oh, why did they have to wake me up in this life? Like, why did this have to happen? I know too much. I don't like it sometimes, but I don't know if you feel like that when you're talking to somebody and they're what I would call asleep, and you could be talking about astrology or something, and they just go, yeah. And you can see them just zone out. But if I said, oh, that new BMW looks really nice, it's been advertised. Oh yeah, I seen that new car, it looks great. Like they just come back, which is quite frightening.
Frightening. And I could definitely admit, like, being able to see, before I used to really want to see everything. And as I've been getting more awake, like, or as I've been being more aware, I for the first time ever am like kind of glad that I have this like Gemini 3D-ish kind of energy, because it's like, I'm kind of happy I'm kind of happy I'm not Pisces or Sag and I don't see everything. Because there's some things you can just see in people that you can't unsee. And it's like, oh my gosh, sometimes I'll chill with like a Cancer or a Pisces. And then you guys just like remind me how real everything is. And then it's like, damn, I'm back in the Matrix.
I know.
Like I need to go back to sleep real quick.
I know, I need to go back to sleep so bad. Like, oh, what is going on? No, it's tough. Because like I live in a really small village, like tiny little village, and everybody is asleep pretty much. And if any of them are watching, no offense, but you are. And, I could be standing at school waiting for my kids to go in and could be talking about something that I'm really, really a firm believer in. And they're like, you're crazy. I'm like, yeah, I know. But you guys are crazy not waking up. It's hard. you see everything, but you seem to be the crazy one for wanting to speak the truth. So I totally, to be honest, I just switch off now. I made a new Facebook profile just for my awakened people, because then I can share my thoughts, my feelings without being judged all the time, because that's pretty crappy, you know.
News feeds could be so toxic. I really hate people who they never say anything whenever you have positive stuff to say, but then whenever they disagree, they'll make themselves known.
Yeah. And that was my old Facebook profile, the one that's still active. I mean, they're both active, but I had to separate them, because sometimes you just get to that point where you're just like, I'm wasting my breath. You don't want to believe what I have to say, that the evidence is right in front of you, but you're still not convinced, because it's like, oh, you're just a Google doctor. No, I'm not. When I told people I was studying naturopathic medicine, so, you know, naturopathy and herbal medicine, I'm currently doing it. And people were like, well, but you're not a doctor though, are you? And it's like, oh my God, like you just kind of give up. But the minute that I said, you know, I put it on my Facebook, and people were like, yeah, but it's not being a doctor though, is it? Because you're not like, you haven't been to med school or anything. But, you know, we just did that. We just did the natural stuff for thousands of years, and everything was fine. So, you know.
Yeah. I even actually had somebody tell me about their experience with natural homeopathy. They kind of, where they went to the doc, someone was able to use like natural remedies to help them with their foot and some weight problems, which kind of got me more interested into kind of healing a lot more. I think that's something I'd really like to get into. Cleansing, clearing the energy space, which I feel is another great thing about water signs. Like, honestly, if you poured me a drink of water, I would drink it like it was healing elixir, even though it's just water.
Which I just literally did. I just poured some water in my cup. So no, I do love it. Essential oil mad, you know. I take CBD oil every single day, and it just brings that space down. You know, it's good. You know, there's a misconception with CBD. People go, oh, you get high. No, that's the THC, not the CBD, and it's legal in my country. So CBD is legal, which is awesome, because you can buy it now. It's so readily available. It's freaking awesome. It's the start in the right direction. But you know, Epsom salt's great for detoxing, you know, because you think the amount of you know, metals and chemicals that we take on a daily basis, you know. But as a learning about naturopathic medicine, they say in, you know, in the seminar that I attended, they said, right, you treat the patient as a whole, not the symptoms. You identify why the symptoms have occurred. Like, why is somebody depressed? You know, because people will chuck pills at you. Oh yeah, take those anti-Ds, they'll be fine. They'll get rid of it. They get rid of the symptoms. And it did me for years. But then you look at it as the bigger picture. Well, why are they depressed? And it's very easy to be depressed in this life, you know, because of what's going on at the moment, and just life in general. It's hard. So my idea is that, you know, when I do readings now, it's not just tarot and whatever messages come through. It's looking at a bigger perspective, you know, life coaching. I did my life coaching. So it's helping people discover who they are, why they're here, and that it's okay to feel hurt, and it's okay to go through these experiences, which then leads back into astrology, because it all links beautifully. It's really nice that it all links so well.
It's amazing how it links so well. I just love how infinite the application this is with astrology, and I'm developing a newer love for tarot too, just realizing how much more deeply it comes into effect. One thing that I'm really enjoying too with all these shifts is how our spirits are moving faster than our minds, or I guess it's always been like that in a Godspeed sense, but I'm sure you yourself have experienced how like you could be listening to a song and your body will look at a word 3 seconds before you hear the song say the word, and it's like, wow, what kind of synchronicity is that? Like, it's really low.
I feel music. It's something that it moves me. So I can be in the car, like just driving along, and a song will come on that I really relate to. And it's like you do relate to songs anyway, but with myself, it's like I'm there. I'm there with that singer. It's there, and you feel it. You feel every emotion that they put into it, and it's beautiful. It is. But yeah, I wonder if people do feel that, like it's not just me. Like you could be in that room with them while they were writing that song. You feel every depth of emotion. But like that's why I don't listen to mainstream music these days. It's so bad. Like it's toxic, you know. It's some of the things you listen to, you're like, oh my God, my kids could be listening to this, you know.
Well, that's the thing, because they market it to these kids, and there's nothing. I feel like that's just completely evil, because
it is.
I mean, I was talking to my friend, brought it up the other day, and I was trying my hardest to play devil's advocate and defend the music, and it's just impossible. Like
it is, because it's sexualizing music. It's, you know, when people are singing about, they're singing about, you know, sex, you know, drugs, rock and roll, and all of that. You know, there was, sorry, a candle just went out. There is a time where, you know, I love so many artists, but when I mean, I can obviously tolerate them, but there are some songs that come on and I instantly cringe. I was listening to a song actually by Nickelback the other day, and it was all about sex, and I cringed because I was like, whoa, no, this is too much. I have to turn it off. Like, but some of the songs that Nickelback have written, I'm there with them. It's just using them as an example. Like, but there is always to and fro, but you can also see in, like, for instance, I'll say Britney Spears, you see the breakdown in her career. Like you see how when she starts to struggle, the peak, the struggle, and how she overcame it, you know. So it's not just about what music they're throwing out there, but it's the story too, the story behind it.
Mm-hmm. Especially even the music we grew up on, like there's definitely music that's in your face and vulgar and will say it. But then there's also, I think what's more dangerous is a lot of the hidden messages, how they can kind of and it's no one's really saying that it's wrong to have sex in music, but if you're going to be blind enough to not really, because some people could be blind enough to not really see how it affects young kids. A lot of people can just think, oh, it's just mainstream music. But those people may not have children who at a young age, they start picking up habits. There are a lot of young kids in Chicago who are dying right now because of gun violence, and the music that they listen to is promoting shooting. You know what I'm saying? It's not just the music that's to blame, of course, but
of course it's the bigger picture. It's as my dad, when he was alive, bless him, he said to me from a young age, just question everything. I was brought up on Nirvana, the Scorpions, Guns N' Roses. I was brought up as a rock and roll kid because that's what my dad and my mom both, they were punk rockers, you know, they were awesome. But I grew up to more or less appreciate Kurt Cobain's words, his lyrics. I appreciate what he was trying to put out there to the world, you know, God rest his soul. But, you know, I see it. I see that, you know, I'm trying to use a song. I couldn't think of the name of it, but my daughter, she asked me something about what he meant in this song, which was inappropriate. And I basically said, I think it was like a Jason Derulo song or something. And she said, oh, Mom, what does this mean? And I was like, oh, you're too young to understand that. But, you know, I tried to explain to her that, you know, they just put stuff in songs. It can be really silly, you know, and that's the kind of way you have to teach them that, look, these things aren't necessarily right, but it is what it is. That it's not going to stop anytime soon. So.
No, not at all. It's only getting worse. And it's really sad because it's so easy to like sidestep away from the responsibility. It's so a lot of people would rather play a blind eye and kind of like listen themselves to sleep until it's way too much. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
some people, unfortunately, they wait to see the devil with their horns. Like they wait to see until it's too bad. They don't notice the Pied Piper is already like played the whistle.
They're luring them in. You see a correlation, you see a pattern. You do. You see this. And then that's the thing, then you get called crazy, you know. You get called the crazy one for knowing the secrets of the life, you know. It's hard. And it's very, you can't, like, it's like my dad said, was like Amy, you can't argue with stupid. If they don't want to wake up, you can't wake them up. It's just that's final. But really? one thing he said to me before he died 2 years ago. So he said to me, like, because I told him, oh Dad, I've done this YouTube channel. And he used to watch YouTube a lot when he was in hospital. So like he used to have it on his laptop. And he said to me, he was like, whatever happens, whatever grief you get, whatever negativity, the hate, the comments, the dislikes, like you can get disliked before that video is even played for a minute, you know, and it's a like 40-minute video, and you know it's the same people doing it. But he said to me, like, whatever happens, don't let them win, because when they do win, that's when you know you've given up. And I've carried that for years, like I say, you know, the past couple of years, and that he has been my strength to get me through this, you know, to carry on and not, you know, give a crap so much. He was an Aquarius, so he was very much, yeah.
I love it. When they're not the geniuses, I love it. It's there's like the super like positive role model Aquarius, and then there's like the Aquarius who got heartbroken, and it's just like
evil. That's my dad, the heartbroken one, because my mom's a Leo, so she and him. They didn't work. So they separated when I was young, and my Chiron is in Cancer. So it all makes a lot of sense, like growing up, why it happened. And then now my mom, Leo, she's married to a Pisces. So it's quite funny that, but yeah, my dad, he was saying he was an Aquarius sun, and I'm sure he was an Aquarius ascendant as well. But he just did not give a crap what anybody thought of him. But he was the one that always got hurt. So
yeah, it's such an air sign. We don't like to care. Like that's our default. I think it gives us superpowers sometimes, but
it's good. No, I have 2 air sign children, and yeah, I see it every day. They don't care. They're not bothered, but yeah.
But it'll be interesting because the same conditions that brought about, like say with music and with movies, the place we're in, I feel is going to bring and spark the catalyst. I feel like now that music is more accessible and there's more like platforms and outside of music, just entertainment, we're stepping into a renaissance, especially with the spiritual work where, you know, people who actually have substance can start to break out again and reach their collective, which was hard to do before, where you had to go through a lot of these gatekeepers and press agencies or whatnot. So that's definitely reassuring. Personally, how would you say you came into your spiritual path? What really got you doing what you do? Or how did you know it was time for you?
Oh, I had an episode. I mean, I'll start from kind of I'll try and keep it as simple as I can, but like as short as I can. But when I was 4, I had an episode of sleep paralysis that absolutely terrified me. And I still remember that as if it was yesterday. There was this dark, like figure in the corner of the room, and started walking towards my bed. I couldn't scream, I couldn't cry out. And I remember it like it happened last night.
You saw the dark figure.
Yeah, really traumatized me as a child. It was, I couldn't, you know, that feeling when you tried to scream, but you can't. It was like that. All the lights went off in the house. My mom always left the hallway light on for me. So she knew if I needed the toilet, I could go, and, you know, I could see that was all off. Everything was dark. And it was like this thing was walking towards my bed. And that was not of this world, I tell you. And that really affected me. It was like, I knew then that we were never alone. we were not alone. And I used to see a lady come in my room sometimes, and I used to talk to her, and my mum thought it was a, what's it called, like an invisible friend. And then I said to her, I was like, oh no, mum, it's not an invisible friend. This lady has wings. This lady's an angel. And my mum would, like, she just went white, because she was like, okay. And then my mum told me later on, like, she saw things too. So it was like, she just tried to, like, deter it, sort of thing. But the main one for me was when I woke up, I was in a very narcissistic relationship. My ex was very controlling, very manipulative. And like I said to him, like, I want to do something where I'm speaking to somebody, like I'm speaking out there to the world, sort of thing. And he went, like, who the hell is going to want to listen to you? And that gave me the turning point. I started meditating. I figured out what chakra alignment was. And then it just all fell into place. And then I started getting messages. Then my dad died. And then that's when it was like, okay, I'm really going to do this now. So when I found Lada's channel, I'd literally, I think 2 months prior, I'd lost my dad. And I just went, nah, screw it. I'm just going to go and do it. And then I spoke with her, and then I got the gig on there. So it all just fell into place. From really, my dad was the one that was, you know, even when he was alive, he was pushing me like, Amy, come on, you know, you want to do this. Why aren't you doing it? But it was, I cared what people thought of me back then. That's when I'm like, when the change happened, I don't care anymore. I'm done with caring with what people think of me. And, you know, because what does one person's negative opinion matter to you when there are millions of people that could like you? You know, it's kind of looking at it that way. That's what I love about your channel, because you say it how it is. You do. And there's not enough people, because people sugarcoat it too much, and you sugarcoat it. But although that can draw a lot of negativity towards you sometimes, because it can do, because people don't like the truth. They don't like it. But you can do it in a way that say, well, this is what I'm telling you. If you don't like it, that's fine. Whatever. You know, that's how you have to look at it now.
No, definitely. Though the weight of people's expectations, I had no idea how much of that was more subconscious, because I really felt at one level it was just something that you could just be like, I no longer care, and then you just no longer care. But it's truly freeing. It's definitely really amazing. How have what are your favorite types of readings as you've done? Do you prefer more tarot or intuitive based readings, or do you enjoy more astrology?
Oh, that's a tough one. It depends, really. It depends where I feel is right, obviously, for the client. But of course, mainly what I love about tarot is that you can engage with the client, whether they're in your house or whatever, or online. You can, because I'm mainly based online now, because to be honest with you, my clientele is mainly in the States now, because we're very closed mind. There's a lot of the UK, they're just not ready for it yet. You know, you guys are ready for it over there.
Oh, so the UK is still generally closed off to science?
Yeah. To be honest with you, if you go, it sounds really trivial, but I figured this out. If you go anywhere where there's sea and sand, there is always a spiritual shop, and there is always a psychic. But I'm in the middle of, I'm from where Robin Hood was. So I'm in Nottingham. So it's popular, but it's not that popular, sort of thing. Like, everyone knows me as they call me the crazy card lady. That's what they call me around here. So it's fine. But what I love is that, you know, you can pull a card, and you can really engage with them, and they can see the picture, they can see the card, they can see how they feel, and it's getting them into it as well, and it's waking them up. And that's what I love about tarot. You can get the client involved, and you can get the people involved. I love that. You know, instead of me just giving you information, they can say, oh, can I have a go? And I'm like, yeah, here's my cards, have a go. And they love it. You know, it's nice, because I've had, I would say, so far, I think about 8 people, they've actually gone out and bought a deck of cards after they've had a reading, because they want to start doing it themselves. And I think that's fantastic. I really do.
I think you nailed it when you mentioned about the Indian stuff, because when I was in when I was in Kansas, right before I started my journey, no one, I don't think I would ever find anyone in the Midwest of Kansas that is really into this type of stuff. I did a meetup, I think, in Kansas to find some people, but it wasn't until I went to LA to the ocean and the end of the, where there's sand and the ocean, where I can finally connect with people who are like that. But I that's what I really love about doing this, because first of all, it's 2018, so I just feel in my spirit information like this was already supposed to be known. But I really love how people like us, or especially me, like I kind of open the door for people. And I feel like it's a very much so a mutable sign thing. I think Gemini opens the door for people, and then Pisces also kind of like makes people feel comfortable and okay with their magic. Because it could be very easy for people to have crazy experiences and then just project it on the Pisces like it was their fault or something. Or they were the ones who made this happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's still, especially being that doorway and inviting people to, and I don't want to sugarcoat this, but real magic, it's definitely something that people are slowly opening their hearts up to again. And what do you personally feel is your favorite part about doing what you do?
It's knowing that, and it is straight up. It's knowing that you've helped someone on their journey, because there's so many lost people out there, which is like why I went and said about, the client of mine that I had to do a lot of work with her because of how much this psychic had such a negative impact on her. The client should come away feeling like they have hope and they have so much to look forward to. They shouldn't come away feeling like, I'm insane, I need to go to the doctor for pills. That's awful. Yeah. I have boundaries. I set boundaries with my clients, because there are certain things that they want to know and I will not do. Like every psychic has, or every tarot reader, every astrologer, they have like an area, it's like a gray area that people won't go into. And that's fine, because there are certain areas that people might feel uncomfortable with, and that's cool, but at the same time, I think the most wonderful thing is when you see these lovely, amazing people and they come and they have their problems, and then they leave and they go, I've got this, haven't I? And I'm like, yeah, you have. Damn right you've got it. And you've got so much that you can go and do with this self-power. And that's where I basically give what I try to help people with, to heal and to grow and to, look back in 5 years and go, look how far I've come. Because so many people have, self-esteem issues. They have areas of their life that needs improving on. And it's heartbreaking when you just want to fix them, but you can't. They have to do the work themselves as well. But it's seeing those people grow and nurture, and seeing them change their life, and knowing that, you've had that influence in that. But it's just knowing that you've done your purpose, because my purpose is to help other people. That's what mine is. So it's nice when you know what it is,
No, definitely. And more important, how personally you deal with the darkness within others when it comes to doing, because that is an unfortunate reality we have to sift through or work with, being healers, being counselors. Not everything about this is just positivity. So what are some ways, what are some experiences you've had that might have been pretty, not necessarily scary, but just really dark, that you had to deal with and heal in others? It doesn't have to be a specific instance. It could just be more like a trend you've noticed.
I've noticed that I've gone through elements of abuse, physical and emotional abuse. I have in previous relationships. It was a part of my life that I believe that those experiences I've healed from them. So I know that they happen for a reason, even though they weren't the best. But I noticed my clients have a lot of issues with relationships, abuse, narcissism. They feel completely lost. And then you see that actually there is a pattern forming, that you see these things that you've experienced and you're able to understand where they're coming from because you've been there yourself. And it's not, you kind of have that. I always feel like people that have been through similar experiences are more drawn to a reading because everybody has, they feel drawn to people. But one thing that I think had shaped me was my first ever, what you want to call a psychic attack.
Ooh.
That was, and it happens a lot. You'd be surprised. Like it happens to all of us.
A whole lot more than no, I agree. I hate to interrupt you there, but once psychic attack comes up, I get really passionate about it because
I'm so glad.
A lot of people don't realize how often it happens, and they
so much
their anxiety for stuff that they have no business taking on. So I'm glad you mentioned that.
It's horrible. It's it happened to me a couple of weeks ago, and I had to. My friend does Reiki, and I went around her house, and she hugged me, and she went, "Oh my God, who put that energy on you?" And I went, "What?" She goes, "Have you been feeling yourself recently?" And I went, "I've been really stressed, and like things have happened to me that like I was in a slight car accident that week as well." So it was like, whoa, what's going on? And she sat down and she was able to pinpoint where it came from, who did it. And she's really good. Like she could tell me what happened, where it came from, etc. Whereas she went, "You haven't been protecting yourself, Amy, have you?" And I went, "Well, no, not as much as I usually do. My guard went down a little bit because I was happy and I was free flowing and everything was fine. And then bang, and it came from there." And the most frightening thing is they will keep trying to do it. They do. They keep trying. It's like the only way I can describe it's like black magic almost. It's pretty dark. Yeah. And I feel it. I start having nightmares, anxiety attacks, scared to do things, which isn't like me. I'm pretty outgoing, and but those anxiety attacks come. I start caring about what people think again, and it's like, whoa, where did this come from? But then I go, now I understand why. And she was able to lift it off, and then she said, like, this is how you protect yourself, this is how you do it, but it's tailored to a different, obviously everyone's protection ritual or whatever is different. But yeah, that was tough. That really got me because this person's done it before. It's not the first time. They keep trying, but it doesn't work because it only has about a day's effect, and then I'm fine again. So
yeah. And that's one thing you mentioned right now. That's when people. So one thing I really want to get people focused on is the attitude, how to live. Because people will acknowledge spiritual attack, but they forget it's a spiritual war. So you can win the battle, but there's multiple wars in a battle. And just because you defend yourself once doesn't mean that you can't stop. This is why spiritual hygiene is so important, and consistency. If you have a daily practice, you never have to worry about it because you do it every day. So for someone who asked, and I know you mentioned there's different ways. What's a simple, basic way to protect yourself from attacks?
I have to say affirmations would be the biggest one for me for protection. That I would say before I go to bed. I do this practice every night, but that week I didn't because I was happy. So I put my feet firmly on the floor, close my eyes, and say, if there's any energy in my space that doesn't belong to me, I ask you to remove it. And I have a lot of crystals in my room. So I have a lot of energy that's protecting me while I'm sleeping, mainly amethyst. Amethyst really relates. It's like the color of your shirt. It really relates to me. And it's my birth stone as well. So I have to. I'm a purple addict. So I have to have lots of purple around me. And I feel protected. But like I say, it depends on when I'm consciously aware that I'm not protecting myself, that's when I'm more inclined to do it. But when I'm happy and everything is just so wonderful and busy and lovely, then I do forget sometimes, and that can be a killer.
No, definitely. And that's the it puts more onus on the saying where it's like you should not just pray when things are good, which is hypocritical of me to say, because if there's one thing I need to work on, it's self-defense and cleansing. I feel like I could just be a warrior on the battlefield that never uses first aid and is just like has no shield, and it's just like and it's like I need to have my full armor on, make sure I don't get myself in any unwarranted predicaments. But still very glad you brought up psychic attack, and just that whole environment. And that's another cool thing about, but sometimes a bad thing about being water sign. I don't think it's a bad thing, but I feel like water signs are a lot more susceptible to psychic attack because you feel it so much more. And I guess that's great that you do have an Earth moon, because Taurus moon is it's underestimated. It's one of the strongest souls that one can have, and it definitely makes it less able for you to be shaken, which I'm sure can throw people off, because Pisces does come off as a bit too sensitive. And then when people get to know you, it's like your core is unshakable. Like no one's.
Yeah. And it's taken a long time to strengthen that, though, because like I say, growing up, Miss Sensitive over here was, the bullies at school really, really got to me. It was, wow, it was so bad. Like you get thoughts of, I even had thoughts of taking my own life at 14. That wasn't normal for any person to go through, because I felt everything. And I always remember I had a history teacher, and he was probably a big influence in my teenage years. And I said to him, like, why do I feel everything? And he said to me, is like, but you question everything. And I went, yeah, but why me? And he's like, I said, is there something wrong with me? And he went, no, you're what's right in the world. Like you feel you're empathic. And then that was when I went home, and I can't even remember. I think it was like Ask Jeeves or something back when I was a kid, like instead of Google. And I Googled I put, what is an empath? And that was another turning point for me when I was like, oh, that's me. That's what I'm supposed to do, Right. But you attract the narcissist, you attract the vampires in society. This is the problem when you're empathic, when you are totally aware of people. Like I would never intentionally go on someone's YouTube video and hurt their feelings for the work they put in. And I can never justify how people can do that. I know it's a freedom of speech thing, but why? Because it is a psychic attack. You're attacking someone, but why?
No, you nailed it. You absolutely nailed it. What's going to possess someone to just kind of be that negative? And I really feel like I really want to be more vocal about, possessions. I mean, not all demons have horns, you know what I mean? But
exactly. And it's funny, I watched a video about that today. There was kind of like the demons in our society, and they might not even know that they're demonic, or they have that negative vibration. They're not one of the universe. They're not one of God, or whatever you choose to believe in. But I can never fathom it. How can you go on? I'd say I always relate it back to YouTube. Like, how can you go on it and go, they can put a comment, something like, oh, you're crap. You're this, you're that, or I'm going to dislike that. But why? Because it's the way that I see it is because they see something in you that's they haven't got, or they have so many of their own personal issues. They are like almost jealous. And I always used to say that at school. Oh, they're only bullying you, honey, because they're jealous of you. And in a way, it's kind of true, because they see qualities that they don't have, or they wish they had. And the only way for them to boost that ego, instead of using their heart and their intuition, is to bash people.
No, and we're not talking about criticism. Constructive criticism is always welcome. Like when people,
exactly, me too.
Totally okay to disagree. But it's just so unwarranted. And I really feel a lot of it is when you are expressing your light, the darkness, it starts to speak to their heart. And then whenever whatever darkness they're possessed by has to react and be like, oh, I have to hate this. You know what I mean? I know as a Capricorn moon, I don't apply this towards hate, but sometimes when people are laughing, my Gemini will tune in. But when I don't want to laugh and I want to be serious, like I'll just start. I won't be negative, but I'll just start being like a Scrooge, like, oh, I don't want to feel happy right now. So I kind of know a little bit how it could work. And thankfully, it's not like wanting to hurt people, but as hurt people hurt other people. And just to kind of reiterate, when I used to use Ask Jeeves. I was very much so a hipster. I didn't want Google. I wanted to go to Ask Jeeves because I thought it was the cooler one. But of course,
I know, it was terrible like that. And I was like, when MySpace was at its prime, I used to love my MySpace. And when everyone went over to Facebook, I was protesting like, no, I like MySpace. I still have my account from when I was like 14, 15. I still have it. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. I might have that MySpace.
I was different at school. I was like the goth. I had black hair, lots of eyeliner. That hasn't changed, but I was such a goth. Like I was terrible. Like I had all the anti like that the propaganda, like anti-propaganda music on, like yes, you know, sort of thing. But I was more of an emo kid because I felt everything and I was really emotional. And you know, I listened to like Green Day and My Chemical Romance and stuff. Like I felt music. That's when I knew I kind of had this thing. Like I felt music more than anything, you know. And all the, you know, and everyone's listening to the Pussycat Dolls. I'm there listening, rocking out to Green Day. So that was pretty cool.
That's what it did. All right, let's play this game before we close.
Cool.
Take turns asking each other 3 questions.
Mm-hmm.
So you can ask me a question first. I'll answer it. Then I'll ask you a question. You answer it. Then you'll ask me a question. And we'll go back and forth for 3 rounds.
Okay. Can it be any question?
Any question.
Oh, are you more psychic or more astrologer?
Oh, wow. That's a really
kicking it off.
So I had a talk with myself yesterday because, and shout out to OJC Astrology because she recently did this Gemini video about how many of us are kind of tapping into our untapped resources. Like the curse is over. So I always felt like I'm definitely more psychic, but it took me up until now to realize because I definitely started the first 27 years of my life in the light. And a lot of my psychic ability uses my dark energy. And I didn't realize how I had to learn astrology. I had to, like, my Gemini likes to be so technical and I can over rely on astrology a lot. And it gives me that framework to know what's righteous, what's right, what's the light, you know what I mean? Like what's the context for the psychic stuff I'm feeling. But it's only until recently I realized I'm actually way more psychic than I give myself credit for, because I like to, so I've kind of sometimes used astrology and tarot as a crutch, and I'm learning that I really don't have to. I'm at a point now where I could just flow from the heart and like use my psychic ability. But it wasn't until recently that I realized I had to know astrology. I had to lean on that, so it'll have me like trust more in my psychic ability. And I'm so glad you asked that, because I'm wanting to more than ever, now that I feel like I have a good grip on astrology, I want to go back into my psychic ability and, you know, grow that more to the next level. So
That's
yeah,
awesome.
definitely a great question. And I hate to even be vague when it just comes to psychic ability, because experiencing this more through claircognizance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a bit of clairsentience too. My question for you is pretty similar. I don't want to say if you had a magic power, because I know you do, but it's more so like how I feel like you have way more than one, right? but what is one magical or supernatural ability that, if I was gonna say if you had, what would it be? But how are you really developing what you currently have to kind of like craft a technique? And to give context for that question, I feel like Uranus and Aries, that whole transit, really allowed us to kind of awaken our gifts. And now Uranus and Taurus is where we can like have our own special powers and make real like, oh, well, my power is I can know what you ate last night. You know what I'm saying?
I love it. I would say my superpower, if you wanna go down that road, I love that actually. My superpower is this. I can read people just by them being in a room. I play this little game, and I do it while I'm at the gym. I don't know why I do it, but I do it there. It's just because I zone out. I'm on my own, I zone out. So I can be in the sauna or whatever, I could be on the running machine or whatever. I always call it that. But I play a game. Guess the horoscope. Guess the star sign. Guess what the sun sign is, or guess what element I think they are. And I do that in readings. I do every time we play this little game. Like, I'm going to guess what you are, and I'm pretty much, sometimes I would say nearly always spot on. But I actually went up to someone in the gym once, and I was like, I don't know what it is, but I'm just going to ask you, like, are you a fire sign? And she was like, what's a fire? And I went through it, and she was like, oh yeah, I'm a Sagittarius. I was like, I knew it. I don't know what it was, but I play this little game. But when people walk in the room, I instantly know if I'm going to gel with them or not. Or I use that as kind of an advantage, because like if I go to, like, I went to an event not too long ago, and there was loads of psychics there, and I was very overwhelmed. There was so much energy being thrown around. And I kept back, and I observed, and I looked at everybody who I thought that I would have the good connections with, like just talking, like I'm not even listening, I'm just looking. So I do use that to an advantage. If I feel that I get good vibes about things, like when I've only been in this house 6 months, and I went to view the house. And I said to myself, it was the only house I could take around here at the time to keep my kids in the school. So I said, I don't like it. Something feels off. And I really didn't want to move here. But this room that I'm in, this is my room, like my study room, was the only room I felt like, oh, this is where my PC is going. This is where my filming stuff's going. But the rest of the house, no end of problems. No end of problems. Like my son's ceiling nearly fell through the other week. That's how much I felt. I knew. And it's just weird. You get these intuitive feelings. But if I could have a superpower that I don't currently have, I'd like to fly. But there you go.
And I'm so stubborn. I feel like you can fly. You just haven't unlocked it yet. You haven't remembered how to do it. Right? And
I'd love to.
I wonder how practical flying would be if you still had to go through customs. I wouldn't go through customs. I would just
I wouldn't. I'd just go.
Take me to jail. And that's, sorry, my battery died. But yes, that's really more so the point of the present question, because a lot of us are gonna now be able to, like, we just stepped out of the period where it's like you're aware that you're super. Now we're stepping into the period with Saturn and Cap that came out of Sag. We're moving from fire to earth. So it's like, how do you apply your gifts? Like, what are you gonna do? You being such a great mind reader. That was a pretty good. You being such a good energy reader, of course, it's gonna translate into you being able to apply that in situations where you have to read your energy in a high risk situation, and bam, it definitely comes in handy.
It's saved my skin a few times. It has. I had feelings about people before, and I've never been wrong. I always get that. But I'm sometimes the only downfall is that, like, my Pisces is going back to astrology. My Pisces I can be very fooled by narcissists. Like, they'll drag me in under these lovely pretenses, and I'm about midway, I'm going, something feels off. And then I'm proven wrong, that person isn't what they were. So narcissists, I have a good time really struggling to read. That's my only, and there isn't as many as people might think. Don't panic, But there are a lot of energy vampires out there that they really are good deceivers. Some of them are really obvious, but some are real. Yeah. I've been fooled a few times, big time, even in this industry. Like, I can be working alongside someone and be like, whoa, where did that narcissism come from? You know, that's a tough one. It is.
That's my experience with that is my Capricorn moon is always going to be like, screw this person. But I'll think that I'm being too mean, and it's just really trusting in the energy. It's like you feel it, but it's like you need the context first. But yeah.
It's tough.
Yeah.
So my question for you, oh wow, this is hard. If you could work with one, I'm looking at my decks, that's why I'm asking. If you could work with one tarot deck for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Oh, so good. Honestly, I would have to make my own original tarot deck.
Like, I had a feeling you'd say that.
I was going to say the Aleister Crowley deck because I totally love Rider-Waite, whether it's Aleister Crowley, whether it's, you know what I'm saying, the Illuminati deck or whatnot. I was going to say the original Rider-Waite, this deck. But
yes, beautiful.
I definitely want to. I feel like to truly walk the path of tarot, you need to make your own cards, and you need to kind of like, you know, well, you don't need to make your own. You get gifted cards, but like, there's just a different path when you have your own deck. And I would totally love to gift the world of that and kind of connect with a certain system that's based off of that. But outside of that, I am feeling it though. But give me that original Rider-Waite.
Mm-hmm.
I love the original. It's I haven't really met anything better than that since. And well, I won't really compare like that. But that was a really good question. That was really
Thank you. It just came to my head. I was like, oh, I like that idea. Like, because I have so many. I got rid of. I had 45 decks and I have 10, so I've downsized.
Wow, that's a lot of decks. That's a lot of decks. It's really amazing because a lot of my critical rational mind has always wanted to believe that there's no power in the cards. Like it's just physical. And this is more me getting more into the psychic part of my power. Like, no, I'm starting to acknowledge that they're way more than just cards. Like they do carry your energy, but
they do. Someone asked earlier in the comment section, like, do you let other people touch your cards? And I do, but I have to bless them all afterwards. Like I tend to be honest, take spare decks with me to reading like I do psychic parties, and they love it. They love getting the cards out and, you know, playing with them and getting a feel for what they do. But one deck I don't let anybody touch is my main deck that I do not let anybody really touch. I think only a couple of people have, but they're very they're mine and they're personal. But yeah, 9 times out of 10, I'm like, yeah, if you want to, you know, look at them. Or, you know, if someone says, oh, I pulled a card for you, oh, can I look at it? Yeah, sure. You know, I'll give them the card, just not maybe or the whole deck at once, sort of thing. So the energy is important.
And someone's right now, ever heard that a person is not supposed to play their first deck? I've heard that personally. I've heard that it's better if someone gifts you a tarot deck. But honestly, regardless, I think if you did buy your first tarot deck, because that's all you could do, I don't think it would really take away much from the interpretation. But
it's funny you should say that. My Virgo, my best friend who's Virgo, she's total skeptic, but she said she worked in a bookstore and she saw the Rider-Waite deck. That was my first deck, and I remember she bought it me as a birthday present for like my 21st birthday. So it's like going back so many years now. And I unwrapped it and I was like, why? Like, why have you bought me this? And she was like, I don't know, but I feel like you're going to need it. And I was like, okay, wow. And
a Virgo did. That's so symbolic.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
But then I bought the Archangel Oracle because it seemed a bit, tarot was very intense for me at first. I looked at it and I actually bought this book. I bought this Rider-Waite book because I was like, I don't understand. It didn't make sense, but it doesn't come from studying. What I learned is not studying the cards and knowing what they mean. It's how you feel as well when you pick that card up. What does that feel like? You know, you're feeling it, feeling that energy.
You know what? I really appreciate that first question you asked, because that's really what it comes down to me for. Like, whether being more psychic or astrology ruled, I'm realizing am I embracing more my feelings or my mind? Because I use astrology to kind of speak my mind, but my psychic ability, I'm realizing more and more I have to feel to access. And for the longest time, I didn't really want to feel like at all. But it's not like I didn't want to feel either. It's just more like, yeah, it must be an air sign thing. But my second question to you is, what are your view on exorcisms? I personally feel like exorcisms aren't all like the movie where people are having to get a priest. I think that every single person, a majority of a lot of people, they actually are possessed by entities. It doesn't have to be a super evil demon, but people have darkness in their hearts. People have sadness, and it's the sadness that these beings use to grow and feed on. So what do you feel about exorcism? I'm pretty sure that in a lot of readings you've done for people, exorcisms may have taken place where you kind of like shed darkness from their hearts or help. So what is your view on that whole field?
Yeah, it's definitely not like the movies. It's definitely not like you get the cross and it's like, I summon you out, you know. If only it was that dramatic, you know. My Scorpio rising are probably like that, but no, never mind. I like the dramatic side of films, you know. It's always fun and games, but I don't know. I find that I do feel sometimes that, you know, even if we have, like you say, you don't have to be totally possessed by a darker entity, but if you feel depressed or down, that psychic attack can come in there as well. They leech on it and you feel like your energy being sucked out. And I do believe that people can be possessed. I do believe that people can be I'll take, for example, Nicki Minaj. She says she has a boy living inside of her called Roman, and she asked him to leave, but he can't, and he was born out of anger. And she's basically saying that there is this child of her living inside of her that's telling her, like, you know, to kick off and be angry, and that frightens me. But I find possession very frightening, because I think, like, if you don't protect yourself enough, they can come and they can manipulate themselves through you, and I find that scary. And I have seen it a couple of times where people seem off when people say, "Oh, you know, I did a reading with someone many years ago. We spoke about this," and she said, "You know, my husband, he physically hurt me, he abused me." And she says, when I looked in his eyes, it was like he wasn't there. Somebody else. His eyes went dark. It was somebody else. And I was like, I believe that. I believe that. Same
story too. I've heard the same instance, not story, in a very similar way, where there was abuse or something like that. And that awareness like this is just too necessary. I really feel what will really be pivotal is how well we can go see people who might be diagnosed as mentally ill, or people who are, you know what I mean, who aren't even diagnosed, and kind of normalize them, let them know that you're not crazy. You know what I mean? Like, you're dealing with stuff that no modern science has been able to tell you how to cope with, and then be made to feel like it's your fault. You know what I mean?
One of my friends was diagnosed with schizophrenia, paranoid schizophrenia, many years ago. And he's very much an awakened person. He now practices Buddhism. And he even said that he's absolutely certain it wasn't, the voices in his head were not fabricated. They were demonic. And he was adamant, like they were saying, go and kill yourself, go and do this, go and do that. and now he's med free, totally under control. It's changed his life. Like you wouldn't, I would walk in a room and you wouldn't think, oh, he's mentally ill at all. But when he was on his meds and he was totally disoriented, I'm not saying obviously every person with mental health is demonized or whatever. It's not the case. But, from his story, he's actually thinking of sharing his story, because he's like, you're not your mental health. You're not this. You're not this. It's more than this. You're a physical being, yes, but you're a spiritual being, and your spiritual being can suffer if your physical body isn't right. So
that's true.
Yeah, I'm not saying all mental people are possessed, by the way, just to cover my back there, because you'll always get one that go, what are you trying to say? No.
You can leave that crazy talk to me. I'll say it. Oh God. But yeah. That was round 2. And now we have one final round of questioning.
Oh.
Got you on the hot seat.
Yes. So I'm asking you a question, right?
The last one.
I'm looking at my books now for inspiration. What is your take on archangels, angels in general? What is your take on them?
Oh my God, you're asking such the great questions. So at first I was super skeptical. At first, I was not only skeptical, I was mad, because I had just came out of Christianity. I was looking at everything skeptically. I didn't like how spiritualists were syncretizing Christian stuff with the spiritual stuff and trying to bring in Mary and trying to bring in Jesus. I was like, they're not even real, so I can't take this serious. You know what I mean? And I was really skeptical. I was like, archangels aren't real. Archangel Michael, Archangel Gabriel, they're all made up. They're probably vibrations. That's not what they're really called. I don't think they even like that people are kind of using their name to put them as like very positive beings. And then I met an angel card reader. Her name's Iwana. She's also a Gemini. I met her from Soul Garden when Christopher Witecki had greater presence back there around 2012. And 2014, she had done this special ceremony with me, because she started being, we used to barter. Like, I would read her astrology and cards and she would consult the angels. And I'm not gonna lie, every time she did, I was really skeptical. Like, she was on point with her readings, but I never took her seriously. Like she said, Archangel or Angel Haniel was like the angel that watched over me. And like, I would be skeptical, be like, yeah, okay. And there was this one day when I went on my journey, the day that I started off on my journey was the day she did some kind of initiation with this angel. And she was specifically warned me, like, all right, be careful. Like, whenever I do this for people, like, it's a tower card thing, their life can go, crazy. And I was like, all right. And I wasn't even really listening when she did the initiation too. Like, I believed it half-heartedly, and little did I know I would get kicked out that same day on the way to Cali. All super angelic. The way it went down, it really helped me trust in the universe. So that definitely opened me up to angels. I still later got skeptical again about the whole thing. But as far as now, I do believe in angels. I actually believe my spirit is an angel. And that's one thing that it's really opened me up to accept how, we have earth angels, we have elemental angels. I feel like the classification and understanding of how you can be in a human vessel and still share different spirits, that's kind of what's opening my mind up to a new world. I'm still very skeptical about what we call demons versus daemons as well. Like, there's spirits you consult for advice, which is not to be confused as dark demon spirits. But yeah, when it comes to, I think it's a fascinating question you asked. When it comes to angels, I believed them as a kid, and I started to be very skeptical. Like, I just really believed they exist, but not how we do. And now I do believe they're real. I still don't believe that they're all benevolent beings, though. I feel like there are different types of angels, just like you have good humans, you have bad humans, you have, you know what I mean? You have angels that they say have fallen or whatnot. But yeah, I'm really starting to embrace more how Gemini and that vibration is very linked with Gemini, Virgo, and some of Pisces. I feel like Pisces isn't too much an angel as much as it is goddess, and like goddesses connect with angels. Actually, it wasn't until last night I realized that I thought angels served God, but God is actually a woman, and the angels serve the goddesses. And I don't want to really archetypalize it with sex and gender like that, but I'm just really opening up a lot more to this whole world. Like there's so just to not be all over the place, but when it does come to angels, I was skeptical at first. Now I'm starting to believe again, and I'm just taking it from scratch. And I'm at a place where I'm really learning to shut my mind out and just be accepting and allow a lot of, you know, what this is. Yeah. I'm actually glad you give angel guidance yourself. So
yeah, that's how I started. I was with all the angels, and then I went back to the tarot, and I went, okay, we'll give it another shot. I use tarot a lot more than I do my angel cards now, but it's I'd say probably 60-40 to the tarot now, but it doesn't change how I feel about angels and that. Like my Archangel Michael's he's my man, so he's the one that helps me out, you know, the protection thing. Yeah. If ever I'm driving anywhere, I'm like, Archangel Michael, be with me. And I know you just feel, I don't know, it's like a confidence thing mainly. Like, you know, that you can turn to them. They're there for you, you know?
Yeah. No, definitely. Especially when it comes to the presence of archangels, such as Michael, such as Gabriel. I used to be really mad. I was like, what the hell? Like, you can't just draw an oracle card and summon their presence. But I think it's amazing how they do work through us and help us.
Absolutely.
Definitely be more open to that. My last question to you is, what are your 3 favorite zodiac signs and your 3 most challenging?
Oh no.
This is the hot seat question, everyone.
No.
Dun, dun, dun.
Like my top 3 favorite. Oh God.
Top 3 favorite and top 3 most challenging. I stopped doing top 3 hated just so it doesn't sound as mean.
Yeah, the challenging sounds better. Right, so let's go for it. I know what my not so ones are, but I'm biased by saying Pisces because I obviously relate so well to Pisceanians. My second would be, I'm going to put it out there because I know so many, but I know so many Virgos that I love. And I can turn to a Virgo if I need help and guidance. I'm like, Virgo, you're my man or woman. You can help me. But obviously my third as well, I love Aquarians. I do. I bond so well with Aquarians. I think maybe because my dad was one and we just had this strong bond. And I keep getting Virgos and Aquarians come into my life at the moment. And I always believe there's a purpose for that. But obviously Pisceans, I'm biased, you know, because we're sensitive, people understand. But I'd say the most challenging ones, I'm going to put it out there, Taurus, I find difficult. Taurian males, I find difficult. I don't.
Stubborn! Super stubborn!
Super bloody stubborn, yeah. Oh, stubborn and
slow.
I can't believe I'm going to say this next one, but I can really sometimes, it depends on the Leo, but it depends. It's I find Leos to be, so my mom is one, so I kind of relate it to people I know. I'm like, oh my God. But me and my mom can be like this, but when we fight, it's like fire, fire, fire. And I'm like, ah. But I have two is kind of my third because I'm toying between them both. But Aries I struggle with, and Libra. Even though my daughter's a Libra, but my God, she's difficult.
Aries is very obviously difficult, which you can kind of appreciate because they're transparent enough. Libra is very complex, difficult. It's
my daughter's too. So she's like, when we're in like what you call Walmart over there, we call it Asda. That's what we call it. It's the same sister chain, but when she has one of her meltdowns, her tantrums, whatever, like she has one of her hissy fits on the floor and she's screaming her head off, and you cannot calm this Libra child down. You just can't do it. It's like she's the most stubborn. But also Libras can be very, I found from, either knowing them or whatever, but they can have a different persona. Sometimes they can show you what they want to show you, but they hold their cards close, I found.
Yeah. It's like Gemini, but on a whole nother level. I feel like Gemini is like that, but we lack the commitment and consistency. And then Libra just kind of takes that cake.
Yeah.
Something that I feel is very relevant about what you just said. This is 56. This is a 56 episode. Every time I ask this question, I think for 50, 51, 52 episodes now, Virgo has always been like the top 3 most hated. So it's nice to see that it's on your love list.
Yeah, and that's because they can be very one of my 2 best friends from school are Virgos, and we meet, they live in different parts of the UK, so we meet up every so often, and we were sat the other night, 2 Virgos and a Pisces in a room, and they were like chat, and I'm sat here observing everything. And I was just like, I love these girls so much, because whenever I have any practical advice, I'll go to them. Whenever it's like business related, I know a lady called Claire. She's like the business guru. She knows like everything about business. But Virgos do care. They do. And people go, oh, Virgos don't give a crap. They don't care. They do. And I see it. But it takes a while. They got to build that trust first.
Yeah.
And when you have that trust, it's lovely. But unfortunately, I've seen it with Virgos head on. If they don't like you, you'll know about it. So.
And that's cool that they're real. I mean, that's not to say, I was going to say that's not to say fake Virgos don't exist, but it's very rare to meet a fake Virgo. Like, it's very rare. Maybe they'd have to have like different bad friends, because that's one thing about Virgo. They're very real, but they're also very easily influenced if they're not around the right people. But I mean, usually they're definitely smart enough not to. So that's why it's very rare. But it's just really nice to see Virgo being shown.
Yeah, Virgos get a lot of crap. They do. They get a lot of it. And I get it I kind of relate to that, because Pisceans get a lot of crap as well. But with like, oh, they're so sensitive all the time. No, we're not. We're not sensitive all the time. Sometimes we just go, we're not always these watery dreamers. It's tough. That's a tough one. But like people relate like more sometimes to their rising than they do their sun or to their moon. I think I'm more my moon sign now. I'm more Taurus moon, even though but yeah, Taurus, I find tough. I do. It's because I've been around. So my brother's one, and he's like, oh, he does my head in. Yeah, my Taurian brother, he does my head in. I've been in relationships with Taurus as well, and you can't change their mind. Once they've got their heart on something, it's mainly, I found it's like around money. So if I'm just grateful and content with what I have, but Taurus is like, no, I want more. And if you don't want to come, that's fine. Like, that's tough.
No, definitely. And just to reiterate, someone had asked define fake. When I meant that some Virgos, when I meant that it's rare for a Virgo to be fake, I mean fake in a sense where they portray a face that they're not really. Like, they'll act like they like you when they don't. And once again, I say that's rare because you, more often than not, a Virgo, like you just said, will let you know if they don't like you. And
yeah, I see that.
Yeah. And when I said they were easily influenced too, I that's a little bit misleading because it's a very subtle Virgo kid. A Virgo won't let you know what they're being influenced by. They'll just kind of write notes about it silently and if they approve. But once again, that's also rare too. Most Virgos aren't as easily influenced. But
they're just straight as they come. And I like that. I like people like that, you know. I have to be around people that are to the point and tell me straight. Like when I went through a situation about a year ago where someone in this industry was being really vile to me and I was really struggling with it. And I was getting attacks left, right, and center. And one of my Virgo friends, she just went, "Are you going to let this bitch win? Seriously?" And I'm like, whoa, okay, that came from nowhere. But she was right. And I just love how Virgos just say it how it is. And that's the best way.
No, it's amazing. They make some of the best comedians because of that. Saying it how it is and then also being practical. But I'm going to end this call here. We've definitely gone a bit over an hour. Definitely enjoyed it. I will plan to have you back on here and we collab on some videos and whatnot.
That would be amazing. Thank you.
No problem. I have the link to your channel below.
Thank you.
Before you go, how can people contact you for a reading? What do you offer? And do you have any last advice for anyone who's getting in this industry or path as a spiritualist?
Okay. Oh, that's pretty straightforward. I like that. Well, you can contact me for a reading, amysangelguidance.com, or on the YouTube channel, which is the same, or on the Facebook, which is the same, even on Instagram. I'm on everything. But one piece of critical advice I will give to anyone that's, you know, that maybe wants to start on YouTube or they're an empath or whatever, and they want to get on here. The only piece of advice I can give you is, well, two bits. Don't give up, ever give up. And the second one is be authentic and just be you. And people will love you for that instead of being somebody that you're not and deceiving the world, essentially. So, but yeah, I cover tarot, intuitive readings, psychic readings, astrology, life coaching. It's kind of all there. And yeah, it's on the website anyway. So
sounds great. Sounds really great. And sweet. Just could you reiterate one more time the last part of what you said as far as like the advice?
Never give up. Just don't give up, because there's going to be a point in this journey where you will hit a brick wall and you'll go, do I give it all up and go back to my former ways and, you know, my self-destruction, or do I continue? You continue and you keep going. But the one bit I will say is just be authentic, be, you know, have that integrity, love who you are and say, I am a good person. I'm here to change the world, you know. But there's so too often people look on, I want to be like this person. I want to be like that. And they'll try and act that, but that's not authentic and it won't be true to your path. So the only piece of advice is be kind, be nice. It's something that I always say on any of my videos, just be kind and you'll do it. It just takes that oomph, that persistence, and you'll do it. So
sweet. Well, definitely grateful once again. Thank you, Lisa, as well, for connecting this.
Yes, thank you, Lisa. You lovely person.
Very grateful. And yeah, we will continue on with another peace talk. The next one I should be interviewing is Olivia, if not Daniel. So other than that, thank you once again, Amy. And thank you guys for tuning in. Y'all stay blessed as usual, and peace.